Track by Allergic to Bullshit. This is Boundless. Jerry Garrich says, I was just listening to JLB, John LeBon. Smart man. Good channel to listen to, really. That's someone who left YouTube a long time ago. Figured out the score, figured out it was run by shills and agents, and wanted to have a pure think tank without all the trolls and drama. And I was listening to it today. I caught it. I couldn't comment. It's kind of frustrating. I couldn't comment on JLB's live stream because I am banned on YouTube. I can't even log in. I do have a YouTube stream going through Restream, but I can't log in because the account has been terminated. It's happened to me many times. Go ahead and share the stream if you haven't already. I see we got about 44 domestic terrorists here. Jerry says there's an echo. If there isn't an echo, ban him. We don't need these trolls in here with their fake, yeah, go ahead and block them. Sorry about that, not sorry. Don't have time for nonsense. It's already 2020, we've changed a few things. Flat Earth no longer has a dome model. The dome model was debunked in 2019. It was debunked already. Misfire says no echo. Exactly. This is not an echo chamber. This is basically the open source Illuminati. That's kind of what we're doing here. It's like, well, we know how the system works. We know how the game's played. We know about the psyops, the hoaxes, the fake history. We know how they run the show. So since we know, we're pretty much on a par, on a level with the ones who are perpetrating the hoaxes. And so these days, I have no problem just calling it out directly as it is. It's not even a hypothetical. If it's fake, it's fake. It's not maybe it's fake. It's not sometimes it's fake. It's like, well, maybe it's a few dead people and some crisis actors. No, it's all theatrical. This is where it's at. Says the paid trolls are going hard at IPS. Misfire says, where's your channel been? Long time no see. I haven't missed a single night. And that's how good they have been, previously at breaking up our networks. But this time we're not building up a network on the shifting sands of fascist YouTube's unreliable platform. If you want to be in the know all the time, you really have to get on the email list, infiniteplainsociety.com. You get a link. and you always be in the know. In addition to that, you could follow me on Twitter. I'm Infinite Planer. Now, I hate Twitter. I love Float. But my Float account double posts and goes on to Twitter. And they have been shutting down channel after channel for years. You all know it. We've been through about 60. With good reason. We're actually effective. And we did have something come true. I want to bring this up first. So we've been talking about the Mousegate thing. Mousegate is a thing. It's not an artifact. At first it was a video compression artifact. Let me go ahead and refresh everybody. Let me go back to this. Now if you want to know what I'm referencing on the screen here, you're looking at timosmond.space. It's my personal blog. As of Misfire says, you give good auto hoax. That's funny. That's what we're known for here, though. We all give good auto hoax. I don't know if that's the right syntax. Okay, so SpaceX was sending super muscular mice into the space station. This was December 5th, and you can't separate this fact from what we have seen. So according to the news, they were sending Mighty Mouse to the space station. They said, look, these astronauts are deteriorating up in space. Let's send some mice up there who are extremely muscular, who will not deteriorate. And I thought, okay, genetically enhanced mice being sent to the space station. There you have a little bit of narrative, a little bit of scripting. So, happens to be the case that this was the very flight, CRS-19. This was the very flight where we spotted the mouse on the outside of the space station. Now, we're not crazy for saying it's a mouse. It is a mouse, objectively speaking. It walks like a mouse, it moves like a mouse. The mouse was the subject of the mission, and I think this might have some broader metascript implications, Year of the Rat, even Mighty Mouse, Mouse in Space. So the first thing I did was I said, well, let me go ahead and consult an expert. So I consulted Metabunk, and he's pretty much the world's leading debunker. And he said, well, it's a video compression artifact. So at first I took him for his word, and I said, okay, those are video compression artifacts, and you can see here by the meme, direct quote, the best way to prevent video compression artifacts is with a year-round pest control plan. Well, kind of a paraphrase, augmented a little bit. So those are supposed to be video compression artifacts. So that didn't stand. We laughed at it. We made some memes. So the next morning he came out with a new explanation. And he said, no, in fact, what you're seeing is ice. So now the question is, are we looking at ice, a mouse, or CGI? Like a CGI mouse. Or CGI ice. Which is what I think. I think we're looking at CGI ice shaped into a mouse. So CGI ice is an augmentation. Maybe they throw it in there all the time. Here's what I think. I think that they throw in stuff to actual footage. So you have an actual piece of footage of the Merlin 1D rocket, and they take that footage for the insert shots, and they basically add on to it certain things. Like, oh yeah, this is the frozen oxygen, CGI ice, and they always have CGI ice. This wasn't the first time. They do it every single launch. You're like, okay, well, look, they're throwing in CGI over the actual engine being blasted into wherever it is, probably a pit in the ground. So what I'm saying is, instead of just doing CGI ice as a treat, as an inside joke at our expense, the people at SpaceX, the animators, actually put Mighty Mouse on the damn rocket. What's so hard to understand here? They put Mighty Mouse on here as a joke. We're in the know, so this doesn't blow our minds. We know how fake this stuff is. We know how staged it is. So yeah, it's like, look, they're already throwing CGI ice. How hard is it to make it a CGI mouse? And they didn't even give themselves plausible deniability here by timing it with that particular Mighty Mouse mission. If it wasn't for the Mighty Mouse mission, I could say, all right, maybe it's an inside joke, but they have plausible deniability. No way. No way. You're looking at a joke. It's meant to be funny. And to us, it is funny because we're on the inside. Other people scratching their heads, making excuses for it, thinking that this is actually in outer space. It's like, no, you guys are the ones being laughed at, not me. Not me. So let's go ahead and continue. Mick West said compression, and then he said ice. So he changed his answer. He changed his answer. So Bugs McGraw asked me, he said, it's fascinating here to see how far they can push it. I almost think they could show a Millennium Falcon blowing up the ISS in hyperspace and pass it off as an artifact. Now, this is important too, because they probably could. They're constantly showing balls of light and unexplained objects in the ISS footage, and Secure Team 6 and other UFO channels will say, hey, it's a UFO, and they're hiding it. Oh, the reason why the astronaut covered up the lens of the camera is he didn't want you to see the UFO. No, it's because they're hiding the cameraman or whatever. Like, we know this. But for some reason, Secure Team 6 isn't interested in the mouse. Now, here's why I think you should be. Even if you believe this is in outer space and that's just ice, even if you accept it's just frozen oxygen shaped like a mouse on the mouse mission, even if you're willing to accept that, you have to tell me on the phone, for me to believe you, that you actually don't see the mouse, because everybody sees it. You are a denier of your own senses. You're delusional if you're saying that doesn't look, move, and act exactly like a mouse, especially when you look at the ear. Now, I'm not saying it's a real mouse. It's obviously a cartoon mouse. And this is a big deal. The fact that they put a cartoon mouse during a live shot, inserted into a supposed live shot, shows it's not live. So who did it? This is not an accident. It's not a video compression artifact. Somebody working at SpaceX put the mouse on there. Fool as Bum says, why is it not on the other 18 launches? Well, every single launch has this frozen oxygen, but this is the first time it's ever shaped itself into a walking mouse. First time. I mean, look, even Brenda, who's an auto believer in everything NASA, she said, well, it could be ice because the heat wouldn't transfer in outer space, not so easily as it would here, and that it could possibly be ice, but she said it is very mousy. So that is a mouse. So this is a reality test here. Can you admit that this is indeed a cartoon mouse inserted into the shot? So they didn't win any points when they said they debunked us. They said, oh, debunked, it's ice. No, it's like, no, you referenced the source that gave you the footage with the mouse on it, and you took their explanation. Like, that's not actually seeking truth. All you actually did was you had the mainstream reality confirmed. So my rebuttal is this. Well, what does your common sense tell you? What do your perceptions tell you? If it's fake, then all the debris that you see falling away from these rockets are fake. So it looks to me like a CGI mouse inserted with what they thought was plausible deniability. And this is some type of a joke, or it's a message. And it ties into the Mighty Mouse mission where 40 genetically modified mice were sent into space. It's either that, or the Merlin engine is home to several wharf rats, which could also be the case. Like mice in the warehouse, but I doubt it. I doubt it. It moves, and it acts like a mouse. Again, in space on a mission to send mice to space. So, if you let that sink in for a second, even if you're a believer in all this nonsense, does Occam's razor really say it's ice, or does it say it's a computer-generated mouse? So, it's an astounding coincidence at a minimum. So, let's say it's real. Let's say it really is ice. If it really is ice, then this is an incredible scientific miracle, and I expect all the scientific magazines to say, hey, look, on the Mighty Mouse mission on Musk's rocket, there was an ice mouse running laps around the thing, and it tricked all the flat earthers. Like, that ought to be a big story. I don't think it will be. You have Daily Mail and Express and others will do a story every time you see a little blur on the ISS footage and they suspect a UFO. Well, here you have an incredible occurrence. This is a damn miracle. Now, if you are even slightly in the know about the chicanery of the ISS and SpaceX, you would instantly grasp that the ice that they always show was just this one time molded into mice on this particular flight. So, they do have plausible deniability for the people like Fight the Flat Earth and Simon Dan and the other people who default to the explanations that they're given. But for those of us in the know, it's an obvious joke on the masses. And hey, really quick here, we've been talking about these last few weeks Trump and who's going to actually vote this year. And here's a quote from Larkin Rose. He said, "When enough people understand reality, the tyrants can literally be ignored out of existence, but they can never be voted out of existence." Excellent point. That's why I say you have to be a conscientious objector to the Psy War. If you vote, if you take a side, you're actually helping to really perpetuate it. A really quick note here, this one's kind of funny. A daughter of a NASA employee says, "Sorry, Dad, water level is flat, Earth is flat." It's just kind of funny. I'd say if some kids, like, they go really bad, the parents are very religious, and then they go really bad, like a son of a preacher or daughter of a preacher, they're escaping some kind of what they see as a sort of a tyranny, and they go the opposite. Well, that happened here. Daughter of a NASA employee, an astronomer, who knows astronauts, actually defects all the way, goes 100% flat. It's pretty funny. Oh, by the way, archives are on iTunes. So if you ever miss anything, if you can't find me, I'm on iTunes. We don't miss anything. I mean, really, it's rare that I take a day off, and I try not to. I did publish Mendoozled, The Mandela Effect Debunked. You can read it for free at the link below. It's timosman.xyz. Publishing a lot of free books at that link. I think it's important that we all read this and understand all sides of whatever you're going to say is real according to you. If you're going to assert it, that's fine, even if it's miraculous. But you ought to know the other possible explanations for it. Oh yeah, one more thing, kind of important here. We had been talking about this World War III and space wars, and yeah, World War III is still trending on Twitter. I've been seeing that all day, and that's something we'll get into here in just a moment. I did want to talk about that. But first, I wanted to get into the response to the pathetic attempts at refuting the mouse on the SpaceX rocket, which is exactly what it is. It's a damn rock. So, in short, because this is another commenter, a guy named Rush, he says, this is on Twitter, "Frozen liquid oxygen from the second stage." My response, you're close. The CGI effect they used to create the frozen liquid oxygen, which is present in all their videos, was purposely shaped into a mouse. Why? Inside joke. They were sending genetically modified, quote, mighty mice type rodents on the CRS-19 mission. It's that simple. They played a joke, and we're on the inside, so we can actually laugh with Elon Musk at the Globecucks and at what they have to believe. We thought we had this with the space bubbles. We thought we had this with Starman. But no, they just go with the program. But this time, we've got something with the mouse. That mouse is mousy enough. It retains its integrity. It's going, what, Mach 18? I mean, how fast is that thing supposed to be going? It doesn't shift around. It stays in one piece. It's almost like, honestly, there is no other explanation for it. It's a CGI mouse. Mousegate matters. So, what is it? A mouse? Is it ice or CGI ice molded into a mouse? And I gave you the answer. Now, again, we predicted this. We predicted that Globebusters wouldn't see the mouse. We predicted that Globebusters would default to whatever position they had to defend the ISS. This is why they stand by their ISS transits which are all fake. So I was listening today. This was it number 7 or 8? A Jeranism Friday Lounge today. They were discussing the mouse. Now they didn't mention us, of course, because they've been given orders from NASA not to mention the Infinite Plane Society. So they talked about the mouse, the CGI mouse, and here's what they had to say in quotes. Bilu said, quote, "For me, it's not a rat." What do you mean for you it's not a rat? It's either a mouse, rat, whatever. It's either a rat or it's not. It's not like it's a rat to me, but it's not to you. This is not the Mandela effect. Jaron said, quote, "There are constant white things that fly off." Yeah, Jaron, it's called CGI. Bob the computer hacker said, quote, "I don't know, man. I go back and forth. Could be something sliding, but those ears. So pronounced like Mickey Mouse. And the oscillation of the body." So even Bob the computer hacker knew it was a mouse. Then Jaron said, quote, "It's just that I've seen their test firings. They fire into a black tunnel, and the slow motion video is identical to what we see here. It's in a facility." So Jaron is admitting that, yeah, it's in a warehouse. Well, sure, of course. And what I'm saying is that they're using CGI to insert a mouse out of the effect they normally reserve for frozen oxygen, condensate. And then Bilu said, "What I saw for me is pareidolia effect with aluminum." Pareidolia effect? You could say that about all of the things that you usually say about the space station, and now suddenly you're like, you're not seeing the mouse. So Bob doesn't see the mouse, Jaron doesn't see the mouse. I mean, Bob kind of does, but then he's pressured. Bilu says it's pareidolia. Then Bilu says, "I see the profile of a cat looking left with its mouth open." Jaron chimes in, "I see what you're saying, it's a minx." A minx cat looking at a mouse? A profile of a cat looking left with mouth open, says Bilu. At this point I stopped listening, but as I predicted, the bozos defended it, as they're required to. It just shows you who's controlled opposition here. This is a song we were analyzing it earlier. Let's Start World War III. Horrible song, I won't put you through it. But it's by World Order, and this was released on 3/11, the same day that that Boeing crashed, the Boeing Max. But this song and this video was the subject of that analysis by the German pastry chef who warned us about the impending nuke in Seattle, with the 113 symbolism being a repeat of what we saw with the 9/11 symbolism. So I looked at this video very closely again, and I haven't since 11/3. But then I thought, we're approaching 113, so it wouldn't surprise me if 113 they kick off the space wars. And the chorus on this song is something about no chaos, no order. That's the galactic rhythm or something. And no, I'm not going to even go there. It's not as annoying. It's not as annoying as a song by the guy from Kim Jong Un, North Korea guy. Before he was the dictator. What was that, Gangnam Style crap? Same thing, kind of annoying dance, just what you'd expect, pop music. But yeah, this whole video was analyzed in the context of predictive programming suggesting that World War III is going to be kicked off with some type of nuke in Seattle in order to put America in its place. Kind of interesting. It's a Japanese band. Kind of ties in, I think, possibly to the recent shooting at the Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard. If we look at the scripting here. Alright, let's continue. Yeah, so Mousegate is still a thing. The answer is, and here is the answer. The answer to Mousegate is, it's a CGI mouse. That's exactly what it is. So with regards to World War III, obviously, it's faked. It's kind of like a wag the dog. Maybe it's wag the rat. But whatever it is, it's definitely nothing more than a way to get votes. Liberals do the fake school shootings, they do the climate change. Republicans do the terror attacks, and they do the war stuff. And like Larkin Rose says, the only way to stop this stuff is to stop voting for it. Stop taking sides. I mean, unless it's your thing. Maybe you're a statist. Maybe that's your religion. Again, that is a mouse. Just wanted to let you know that Glowbusters is in denial about it. Is this a Mandela effect? I went out and I picked up a Kit Kat. Now, I didn't see the hyphen, but I've been told by the Mandela affected that it used to have a hyphen. So I'm like, okay, well, they stepped into my universe from a universe where Kit Kat had a hyphen. But then today I get out and the top level is green. Is that a Mandela effect? And then someone sent this to me today. Mandela effect, new hope for a cure. How to minimize your risk. One way you could minimize your risk of being affected by the Mandela effect is to read the book Mandoozled, which you can get for free at timosman.xyz. Misfire says, yes, they did have a hyphen. Misfire also asked me another question earlier. Let me get to it. If you have any questions, by all means, ask now. I have to go back to work here shortly. I'm hoping to take calls tonight, but I have some work I have to complete first. What do you think of Patricia Steer's return to FE? From what I understand, she didn't return to FE. I think she's doing something about narcissism. I mean, there's a lot of narcissists in Flat Earth, sure, like 80%, but I don't think that's the main topic. I don't watch her. Don't think I ever really have. I mean, I always like the idea that you have many different channels catering to many different demographics, but I'm not someone who's going to sit around in a knitting circle all day, asking questions about people's, backstories. It's just kind of boring to me, but, to each their own. So this is the person who was assassinated, quote unquote. They just found his ring. Sounds fake, sounds hoaxy. Now listen to this here, though. Ex-CIA director, there will be dead Americans. Westerners should leave Dubai. Fear of cyber attacks. 2020 begins with a bang, World War III. And WW, as in like World Wrestling Entertainment, it is kind of like 3-3 from a Zach Hubbard perspective. Linda Curtis says Patricia is in narcissist recovery. Yeah, that's probably true. And that's something that will probably get more views, I believe, than Flat Earth. It's probably more relevant. I've been looking at this topic for some time, and I actually think that the God of the Bible is actually a narcissistic character that they created in order to dominate the believers. So if you do a search for God is a narcissist. And there's a companion book that goes along with it, but the companion book's called Jesus the Codependent. They go hand in hand. You're meant to be like Jesus. You're meant to be codependent in order to make you more controllable by the elites who created God. And again, God is just Big Brother before there was Big Brother. If you want to read this book, you can get it in paperback, you can get it in ebook, or if you're too lazy to read, you can get the audiobook. It's like less than $4. And I did a royalty split with the reader. She's really good. So you're actually contributing to two different people here. God is a narcissist. And if he sends me to hell for that, then I'm vindicated. Because that's exactly what a narcissist would do. The main thing a narcissist has to punish you is the ability to eject you, to reject you. They put you up on a pedestal, then they pull you down. And being rejected is, for many people, it's actually worse than death. It's a form of suicide, especially if you're very much attached to the world that they're throwing you out of. I mean, God throwing Lucifer out, God throwing Adam Eve out, Jupiter throwing what's her name out, Pandora or whatever. The gods always throwing tantrums and rejecting people. Do my will, or you will be thrown down there forever. Kiss my ass, and you get to sit up here next to me. So you're either a golden child or a scapegoat. You're either an angel or a devil. Borderline personality. There's no middle ground with God. No fence squatters. Diamond Davy says you don't know God. Well, I'm not talking about God, the creator, whatever made this place. I'm talking about the narcissist written about in the Bible. I'm talking about that guy. That guy's nasty. And if you say otherwise, you're actually a codependent defending your abuser, which is what you're supposed to do. Okay, so this person was assassinated by Donald Trump, and now it's World War III time. And this is the part that I find interesting. Cyber attacks. If you were following these recent attacks, we had the one in Pensacola, and right after Pensacola, there appeared to be a cyber attack and something similar in New Orleans. But the Pensacola one resulted in the 311 being shut down. That was what made the headlines, and I thought, 311, that date. That particular date, it's the date that that video I just showed you, Let's Start World War III, came out. And of course that number ties into this next 9/11. And I think the next 9/11 may also be a space 9/11, which I'm also talking about. Now, I'm not afraid of any of this stuff, obviously. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is they could cut off your internet or justify increased amounts of censorship, for your protection, which is what I think they will do. Flashback, Trump said Obama would attack Iran to win the re-election. I mean, this shows you how scripted it is. It's almost not worth paying attention to. This is Drudge, an agitator. Matt Drudge is not a real journalist. He's a propagandist, and he probably works for the Clintons. He's probably a liberal when no one's looking. And this is obviously just meant to provoke, but you know what I say when I see this? I say, awesome, American values. It's called free speech. And if you can't stand by free speech for other people you don't agree with, then you don't really stand for it. So I actually don't have a problem with this. I think we should all go rip up Iranian flags. Linda says the ring is scripted. Are you talking about yeah, they identified the guy by his ring. I saw that and I was like, okay, what's the symbolism there? Definitely a prop. I mean, it's all just a movie. And that shouldn't make you mad. People shouldn't get mad when they find out that some of us are just calling this all out is just totally fake. All right, let's get back. I wanted to go through my Twitter feed really quick. So twitter.com/infiniteplanar. If you just got here, I see there's 106 people here. One of the things we were talking about is this Mousegate. Mousegate's not going to go away. It's a CGI mouse. We're not trying to assert it's an actual mouse in space. That's dumb. It's a CGI mouse, and it's put there as some type of a joke. And if you look at it, you will see it. Anyone who says that they can't see the CGI mouse is lying to your face. It's there. In fact, some people have pointed out it actually looks like there's 2 or 3. But I don't think it's necessary to posit the existence of an actual physical mouse in the warehouse that photobombed or got into the shot. I mean, I could understand how it might happen if they're living inside of this thing and they crank it on, it wakes them up. But no, I'm saying, no, look, this is definitely a joke. It's an inside joke. I mean, look, not only does it move just like a mouse, but you can tell by the shadow. And when it reaches right here, the lighting actually lights the top of its ears appropriately, and you can see its eye. Misfire says the whole thing looks CGI. Exactly. Okay, so I am going to be back on later. I just want to catch everybody up with this thing. I don't believe we've missed anything other than... I really just want to focus on one thing. As I had called it, there is a reason why Bob and company and Belu and Jaren don't want to admit that that's a CGI mouse, because part of what they're doing is trying to obfuscate and confuse so they can lose on purpose, because that's what controlled opposition agents do. They lose on purpose. All right, I'll see you all hopefully later on today. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Thanks to all the new patrons, and you'll be getting a live notification if I do go live to take calls. This is Chief Crow. Space is fake as fuck.
Because you can see the stars.
Oh yeah.
And
we were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon.
It's not black and white. I mean, it's black, but there's all kinds of polka dots.
Space is fake,
greatest galactic invention.
Hey, space boy, you broke my rocket man heart. Where are the stars? Is it bright or is it dark? The vacuum of space, oh, the tomfoolery.
What happens if you get a leak on that? You have a leak.
Deep over my bubble.
It's hard to comprehend.
Space is fake AF.
Two little bitty O-rings.
Space is fake AF.
It's not what you think, homeboy.
Space is fake AF.
It's all just start doing this.
Space is fake AF.
Research Eddie Bravo.